Yo, pod! This is Meat Mitch, and you're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Start
the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Good evening and welcome to the really big Barbecue Central Show. This is the show that talks about all things that are important in the world of barbecue and grilling. This show originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, Bomb City, USA, Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I'm your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evenings, a live fire, fun, and frivolity show. If you'd like to get in contact with the show, or you would like to follow the show during off-show hours, here's how you do it.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Follow us on all the social media channels at BBQ Central Show. And be sure to subscribe to the show podcast feed on your favorite podcast platform.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening. In case you can get the newsletter coming up in about 12 minutes from now, somebody who was just recently inducted into the Barbecue Central Show's Guest Hall of Fame in September. He is a frequent guest over the last couple of years. He's making incredible video content on his YouTube channel. And I am not talking about Sam the Cooking Guy. I am instead talking about the founder of Combustion Inc., Chris Young, joining me. This is where, during the course of a month, you would find a visit from Meathead. However, he has some personal business to attend to that just showed up over the last couple days. I said, far more important than showing up here and talking live fire nonsense this time around, considering what you're talking about. So we'll check you out in December as 2024 closes and as the monthly visits from Meathead close and go to quarterly. And I got some great quarterly guests lined up for the months that Meathead is off. And then we'll move 35 past the hour. We'll find normal second Tuesday of the month, regular guest 35 past the first hour, Robert Moss. Yeah. And since Thanksgiving is only a few weeks away, we will talk about Thanksgiving. We might hit a little Thanksgiving with Chris Young, maybe not, depending on how the first part of the conversation goes and how much time we have left. But we will talk fully about Southern style Thanksgiving. We'll talk about deep fried turkeys. We'll talk about the whole kit and caboodle as it relates to Southern stuff, because that has been more or less what we have been talking about all year now. What will be 11 conversations, just one shy of 12, which we'll have in December, which is focused around some form or fashion of Southern style barbecue history and pitmasters and food and evolution. If you've missed Robert Moss's segments over 2024, you've been missing out on some of the best content you've ever heard across live fire platforms, period. Or as they say, full stop. So that's how we'll close the first hour. Then we'll move to the second hour. We have a first-time guest joining us to lead off. Founder of Cooking in the Yard, Danny Dobrzinski, will join us. And per usual, with the first-time guest, a little background on Danny. We'll talk about types of cookers he uses, what he likes to cook, And Danny has quite a substantial Instagram following. You know, that enamors me and really catches my genuine interest on when you start, what kind of algorithm you're posting through, and more than all of that, how you're able to leverage your voice and platform. 300,000 people. I'd love to have an organic 300,000 people following the Barbecue Central Show's Instagram account, but obviously I don't know what I'm doing very well, and also I'm not putting in any effort on top of it. Couple those together and you're stuck at 7,500 followers instead of 300,000 plus. So we'll talk to Danny about all of that. And then closing the show this evening, co-founder of Pit Barrel Cooker, Amber Glanville, will be talking to us about a very unique accessory, amongst other things. So that's how the show is laying out here tonight. Chris Young, Robert Moss, first hour. Danny Dobrzinski, first-time guest, Cooking in the Yard. And Amber Glanville from Pit Barrel Cooker, your show this evening. Don't forget you can follow me socially, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, LinkedIn, all at the handle at BBQ Central Show. We say good evening to our friend from Baseball and Barbecue, Jeff Cohen. And on top of that, we say good evening to all of you watching tonight through one of the video streaming platforms. You can go to Facebook.com/BBQ Central Show. You can also go to Twitter.com/BBQ Central Show. You can also watch on YouTube, which is YouTube.com/@BBQ Central Show, where we have a new YouTube poll question of the week, and we're asking everybody this. Is it a shame that Doug Scheiding has met Sam the Cooking Guy in person, and I haven't? And currently, we are at 50-50 yes and no. It is a loaded question, right? Because that's what I like to ask most of the time, is a loaded question. The correct answer is unequivocally, yes, it is a shame that Doug has met Sam the Cooking Guy in person twice. As early as last Wednesday, or as most recently as last Wednesday. He gets to hang out with him, and I've never met him once. And let me just say this. If it's not for me, those two guys never meet. Never.
Get that big stuff out of here.
I'm not matchmaker. I'm not look at me guy. But I'm matchmaker, and I'm look at me guy. How dare you?
How dare you?
If not for me, Doug doesn't know Sam, doesn't get any of his information. They don't have a love affair that's going on. And I'm left here in Cleveland, but I'm going to make a change. I can tell you that. Do I know when? I don't know when, but I'm going to make a change. I can promise you that. Results of the poll question from last week. Would you rather make your own steak at home or eat it at a steakhouse? 95% of you said yes, you would rather make it at home. And we start here this evening. To say that Malcolm Reed making the announcement on this show that he was going to head to Bismarck, North Dakota next month and give his best effort in shooting a bison got big reaction. Actually, that might be an understatement. Got huge reaction, not only from the interview that we did, but I also posted an edit on Instagram. And that post alone on the Instagram feed got the most views of any post I have ever made. Everybody's into it. As someone who is all about engagement farming, I will remain all over this topic. So when he makes it back, hopefully alive, from this trip of shooting a bison, we game plan that January 2025 visit and make sure that we get all the details of how it went down. Also, I hope that we'll be doing a portion of that segment on comparing tasting notes on bison steak. I think we all know at this point in our stage of our relationship, if you have any time in, I'm not necessarily the most adventurous eater on the block. However, I have had ground bison many times, bison burgers, bison tacos, the like, and it has agreed with my palate quite substantially. lean, good flavor, good texture. It's not greasy like bear meat or raccoon. So hopefully these steaks give me the same taste reactions, but I will remain expectationless. Word? I have a good baseline to start at least, and then we'll figure out, assuming I get my hands on these bison steaks from Malcolm. And then, of course, assuming Malcolm actually puts a bison down. But as I was reading some of the comments flowing in, a lot of you were like, well, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of sport involved. You could probably just walk up to a bison and levy your bullet shooter at it and let it go. I mean, they don't run when they're hit, according to Malcolm. They just sit there and take it. That's a little less sporty. But look, that's what he's doing, not me. So, Malcolm, good luck in getting a bison. And then send me some of those steaks so we can do a tasting note. All right, we're looking for Chris Young here in just a moment from Combustion Inc. and at Chris Young Cooks on YouTube. Before we get to him, we're talking about Schwank Grills. Check it out. It's the grill that everybody's talking about. You probably want one for the holiday season. Whoop-de-doo. Dickory Dock. I can save you some money while we're on the clock. How about this? Starting in 3 days, November 15th, which the show will not be on November 15th, so that's why I'm telling you now. Set your calendar to the following coordinates. From November 15th until December 2nd, you can get $250 off the Schwank Grill all by itself. Want to save more? You can save $350 off of a Schwank Grill, plus you couple that with the purchase of a modern table, all at schwankgrill.com. Oh, I know, that's saving not enough for you. You want more savings. Fine. How about this? Can I entice you with $450 off the price of a Schwank Grill when you couple it with a modern grill table and a grill cover? It appears buy more, save more. That's what I'm getting out of it. Hopefully you're feeling the same type of thing. You go to schwankgrill.com and you purchase right from there. Again, between the dates of 11/15 and 12/2. It's the new Black Friday extended version. So in 3 days from now, you can save $250 off just the grill, or $350 off the grill and table, or $450 off the grill table and grill cover. By the way, no promo code needed. Just order in that time frame. If you need some help on how to get there, schwankgrills.com. You can also click on the link in the show notes or on the weekly newsletter. Just go to the show homepage. You can click on the Schwank Grill logo. Right from there. Save money. You love it. We're back with Chris Young right after this. Stick around.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Welcome back to this portion of the show brought to you by cookinpellets.com, your number one source for quality wood pellets for all of your pellet-driven cookers. You visit cookinpellets.com and check out their products, and then when you're ready to buy, go to Amazon.com or Walmart.com or Lowe's.com to purchase. Same great products, just great shipping rates that Cookin' Pellets can't get you from their website, as told to me by Chris Becker, so don't worry. Good folks over at cookinpellets.com. Leading the show tonight, the creator of the predictive thermometer system and company called Combustion Inc. Also continues to turn out some of the best YouTube content in recent memory over at his channel at Chris Young Cooks, which currently has 213 subscribers. So if you aren't subbed up over there, head on over and do it directly so you don't miss anything new. Let's go ahead and welcome back our pal Chris Young to the show. Chris, we have a YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody, including all guests, which is this. Is it a shame that Doug Scheiding, Texas Embedded correspondent, has met Sam the cooking guy in person now twice, and I haven't once? Yes or no?
Yes.
Of course. It's a loaded question. The answer is yes, of course. Because without me, these two guys...
This is an IQ test.
This is an IQ test. So once again, proving
By the way,
why...
I think you shorted me about 212,000 subscribers when you said I had 213 subscribers.
I did?
You did.
I just checked.
I was like, my channel... No, you said 213.
How many is it?
213,000.
Oh, yes. Well, in all fairness to my idiocy, on my text, it says 213K. So 213,000. You're absolutely, yes.
I was like,
right.
have I been banned? What did I do? I've been banned.
Yes.
I've been deplatformed.
Yes, shadow banned by YouTube. You didn't even know it. I hate that you had to find out here on this show, but we are Jerry Springer of the barbecue and grilling world, of course.
I have clearly angered the Guga and the YouTube meat mafia.
Indeed. We don't want to do that, so we'll stop talking about it directly. First things first, because we have a number of different things to talk about. Let's do business up front. We can do party in the back. What's new at Combustion Inc.? Let's tackle thermometer side first, because that was flagship product.
Yes. Okay, so we have our new second generation predictive thermometer. Pre-order now for December. I think we are still on, I think orders today still are December 4th shipping. The upgrades there, 900 degree Fahrenheit maximum temperature, hermetically sealed with a sort of permanent ceramic to stainless steel bond, so it's fully hermetically sealed. Still the thinnest thermometer, twice the battery life at 94-hour runtime. And all the accessories are Wi-Fi enabled now. So the display has Wi-Fi, the charger booster has Wi-Fi, and of course, everything's fully backwards compatible. So even if you have a first generation thermometer, we're still supporting that. The software still works. We've got some great software updates coming next week. But if you get any of the Wi-Fi accessories, they will all connect to Wi-Fi, and you can keep an eye on things from anywhere. So that was something that was very, very big request from our customers. And then the other thing that kind of got buried in the news is we've also launched the combustion engine, which is an entirely wireless, rechargeable fan unit that can attach to most grills, charcoal or wood. And it works with the giant grill gauge or with the predictive thermometer to allow you to control the temperature. It's got a big knob. You can just set the temperature you want. It'll hold that temperature about plus or minus 5 degrees and gives you that sort of set it and forget it control over your system. So lots of upgrades to the modules, all shipping in time for Christmas. We've been pretty busy. Except for the combustion engine, that's pre-order. That's coming next spring.
Next spring, all right. From a thermometer standpoint, I mean, you've seen a lot of success in book writing. You've seen a lot of success in business with the sous vide machine stuff before you sold to Breville. How is Combustion Inc., just the thermometer portion, meeting expectation for you as you look at it?
It's certainly growing as fast, if not faster, than the sous vide category did. And we were in the sous vide category at a time where, it was experiencing very rapid growth. So yeah, I've been extremely happy with how the sous vide stuff is done.
The other item that
the thermometer stuff is done.
Yeah, for sure. So as far as new products, you had mentioned that the combustion engine is pre-order. We're going to see that in the spring, but there's also a new item, not a thermometer necessarily, but also a thermometer to a certain degree, the giant grill gauge. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that is something that I'm really excited about. The first ones will be some people will be getting theirs in December. The rest of the orders are starting to ship in January. It is a replacement to your analog dial thermometer. It can measure temperatures up to 1,000 degrees. It uses a very accurate platinum RTD sensor. And it can withstand lid temperatures of your grill well above 600 Fahrenheit. It has a bunch of aerogel insulation, but the really neat part is the display is magnetically coupled to all of that. So you can pop the display off, take it inside, slap it on your fridge, use it as a display with your predictive thermometer, so that you've got sort of a phone-free cooking experience. But then you can also slap it back onto your grill, whether you have a Big Green Egg or a Weber kettle grill or a PK grill, or maybe you've got an offset smoker. And it's the name is not clever. We designed the display to be big enough that you can read it from 50 feet away. I printed out a bunch of these digital dials, and the one that at nearly 50, I was able to read from 50 feet away. That's the size we went with. And so it's a big glanceable display that also adds Wi-Fi, so that if you need to go inside and finish prepping, or you're in watching the game, you can monitor the temperature of your grill. You can set high or low alarms, and it's totally wireless, which is one of the things I'm excited about. And it is designed to work with up to 4 predictive thermometers and a combustion engine to create an entirely wireless temperature control experience for your grills or smokers.
So I can take the grill gauge off the magnetic holder on the grill and bring it inside and continue to monitor the temperature of the grill.
No, it has to be connected to the grill to measure that temperature. It is a Wi-Fi relay. So when it magnetically couples, that connects it to the high temperature sensor on the heat shield. So if you have a predictive thermometer in your grill, which is also a wireless device, then that temperature can continue to be monitored from inside with your display.
Is this your idea, or is this a customer-driven request?
This was actually inspired by the owner of Thompson's Hearth and Home out in Issaquah. He's one of our physical dealers, and I was in there chatting with him one day. He's a big fan of Joule, and he also carries the predictive thermometer. And he was saying, what you need to make is a digital replacement to these dial gauges, and that seemed like a pretty good idea.
Yep.
The challenge, of course, is if this, grill lids get really hot, and grill lids come in all shapes and sizes. So the real challenge was that heat shield, as we call it, that sits on the grill and holds the sensor. The top of your lid on a hot day in Arizona could be 700 degrees Fahrenheit, and we have to reject all that heat and keep the grill gauge cool to the touch. So this was one of these things where I thought it would be an easy, nice follow-up product that would make a lot of people happy, including me. And then it turned out you had to get deep into a very high-tech insulation.
From an install standpoint, you're just backing out whatever you have in there from the OEM and putting in yours.
Yep. Yeah, so we have tried to make it just a drop-in replacement on any grill that has a temperature gauge style, where there's a sensor tube that has to protrude through the lid. If it can do that, we can fit through, and then there's a wing nut that comes on the back side and attaches. And we have a couple different fit kits that come with it. So, Big Green Eggs are a little different than a Weber kettle grill, but it screws down. It's nice and skookum. The heat shield can sit outside in any kind of weather. It doesn't care. And when you're done using it, you can pop the grill gauge off, easily take it inside so that it's not baking in the UV or in the hot sun or getting trashed.
What's the price point?
Right now it is available for pre-order starting at $129.
All right. Any Black Friday or holiday specials we should be on the lookout for in the upcoming days and or weeks?
We just launched a bunch of new products. There's a few things that are on sale pre-order. I generally try to not completely hose our customers who were purchasing this week, but there will probably be some unique things available over the Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So if you're expecting to get a second generation predictive thermometer for a deep discount, I wouldn't expect that. It's in high demand. We're already going to be struggling to get people theirs for Christmas. So if you want one, I would order now. But, there might be some bundles or some things put together that are going to be appealing to some people.
You introduce a lot of new stuff. I mean, 2-3 different things is a lot of release for any company, especially given our territory here. Do you have stuff lined up for next year, or is that going to be just some internal
The
improvements?
pipeline remains very full. So the big things people should think about next year is we obviously want to get the grill gauge out. We are going to get the combustion engine out. We want those out for barbecue season. There's a lot of software behind that to make it as seamless and trouble free as possible. So there's a very long roadmap going out for the next year of big improvements for the prediction engine, for handling the barbecue stall. Customers want high-low alarms. So there's a lot of software updates coming. There are also new hardware products coming. There's the cleverness and needs of our customers is remarkably diverse, and our customer support team does a great job of keeping track of what our customers want. And I sort of reach into it like a fishbowl and pull out these ideas, and some of them are pretty good. So just like the giant grill gauge was inspired by one of our resellers, our customers have a lot of good ideas. So nothing to disclose yet, but we're keeping busy.
We are just a few weeks away from Thanksgiving. Of course, this particular holiday is always generating, how soon do I need to put my frozen turkey in the fridge for it to thaw properly talk. But in a recent video over on your YouTube channel at Chris Young Cooks, you had a completely different take. In fact, it was cook it from frozen. Why?
Yeah. So there's a bunch of good reasons. One small part of it is I cook a lot of, I make a lot of videos on cooking meat. And to make these videos, I ended up buying a lot of meat. So I have a freezer full of steaks and chicken breasts and when and yes, even turkeys, because we tend to have to shoot our holiday ads in July. So all you can get in July from people are frozen turkeys, right? Last year's rejects. So one of the things that I wanted to revisit from our time writing Modernist Cuisine is, if you have a frozen steak, is it better to let it thaw in the fridge? Is it better to thaw it in tap water or on a thawing plate? Or is it better just to cook it straight from frozen? And there's actually some science on this. And it turns out that if you cook it from frozen, it is significantly juicier. And there's a bunch of science that I get into in the video of why that is true. But the short answer is there's the proteins in the meat denature and gel before there's time for the water to leak out. You end up with more tenderness, you end up with more juiciness, and this isn't just my own experiments that showed it. I mentioned some academic papers that showed much the same thing. But the important thing is it is way faster, way faster. Like, when I took an 18-pound frozen turkey and I drilled a hole in it so I could insert my, it's like a bowling ball. I had to get my 3/16 inch bit out, drill a 4-inch hole into it, and stick my thermometer. And then I put it in my fridge to see how long it really takes to thaw all the way through. Now, do you have a guess on how long that an 18-pound frozen turkey takes to fully thaw?
5 days.
Pretty close, 7.
Oh, wow.
Took 7 days to fully thaw. Now, obviously, the outside thaws first, but you can take a frozen turkey and you can salt the outside, everything. If you just throw it straight into your oven at a low temperature, because you do not want to overcook the skin and the outside before the inside's thawed, you can get the whole turkey done from frozen in under 5 hours.
18 pounds?
Yep.
No way.
Yep. And so, it was juicier. And the fact of the matter is, every year people are traveling, planes are delayed, they get there late, something doesn't show up, and you're stuck with a frozen turkey. And it's a crisis, right? It's a disaster. What do I do?
Or you forget to set it out. You're the guy hosting, and the one thing you were supposed to do was set it out on Monday for the next Thursday, and you forget.
Even if you throw it in a sink of water, it takes over a day to thaw. So yes, it'll get partially thawed sooner, but to fully thaw takes about a day. So I put the bird into about a 250 degree Fahrenheit oven, a low temperature oven. And after a few minutes, the surface gets a little wet, so I could rub some salt on it to sort of dry cure it as it cooks. And as it thaws more, eventually I can get my thermometer into it and keep an eye on the temperature. And once it's cooked all the way through, and I like my turkey breast at about 155 degrees.
Yep.
I take it out, I let it rest, It took nearly 5 hours to get up to temperature, so it's not going to cool in an hour. Not, the surface will, but I just let it hang out while I finish the stuffing. I finish the gravy. I finish the potatoes. I crank my oven up to 400, 450 degrees. When it's time to serve, I throw it back in there for 5 minutes to crisp the skin, reheat the surface, and it's a perfect bird. And look, most turkeys are frozen. They started frozen, right? So a weird counterintuitive fact is that your turkey, if you cook it straight from frozen, will be juicier than if you get a so-called fresh turkey that was previously frozen but then thawed by the butcher before you got it. That's actually going to be a less juicy turkey. And so that, but there's other things like if the video gets into this, it's not just for turkey. You can do this for steak. I show how to do it for a beef Wellington, where I make my beef Wellington weeks in advance. I freeze it, and then I cook it from frozen. And the reason is I can hammer the outside. I can get the skin really crispy, or I can get the pastry really crisp. And the ice deeper in the meat protects the core from overcooking. So ice is like the ultimate insulator, and it lets you cryo-sear things. So that's what the video is about. And I'm traveling this year. I'm going down to my parents down in New Mexico, and I am fairly certain that when I get there, I will be facing a frozen butterball. And so I will be having to put my theory to work for Thanksgiving this year.
It sounds like you should be excited.
I am excited, but did you see that Butterball, and I think they must have seen my video, but did you see that Butterball came out with a marketing pitch for cooking a frozen Butterball? They have the recipe. They have a whole recipe and website on cooking your turkey from frozen.
This time of year spawns all the call centers across the nation. Butterball's already sent one up for weeks at this point to answer all the questions, and all they needed to be saying was, just cook it from frozen, stupid, and you'll be fine. You're going to want to keep an eye on the temperature. And the trick, and this is where people will make the mistake, if you have a frozen turkey, don't throw it straight in a 400-degree oven. That will overcook the outside before the center is done. You need to thaw it, and you need to thaw it at a slow enough cooking temperature that you don't overcook it. Now, if you're adventurous, you could do something like deep frying it for the first few minutes to really dry out and crisp that skin. Not frozen.
And then move it to a low oven. Oh yeah.
Isn't that disaster? Water and oil.
It's actually the opposite. And that's what's surprising. And it's, if you put water into oil, it splatters and it's bad. But the water, when it's frozen, has to thaw before it can become liquid water and then turn into steam and cause the problem. So actually, as long as you have like any frost, brush off any frost, get the surface dry. But frozen is dry until it's not frozen anymore. And so you actually get a slower release of water from the meat, so it's less violent than taking a fresh turkey and plunging it into a deep fryer. Now, if you're going to do this, don't overfill the deep fryer. Do it outside. It's still deep frying. Don't be an idiot. But in the video, I do this with a frozen tomahawk steak, and it's the best way I know to cook a steak. I deep fry it, then I low temperature cook it, and then I finish it again in the deep fryer right before serving.
Wow. You're just breaking all the rules. This is why we love having Chris Young on the show. This is why, by the way, Chris Young is a newly minted Barbecue Central Show's Guest Hall of Famer just this past September, by the way. Did you get your ring?
I did. It's like I won the Super Bowl.
Yes. Well, except you're in the Hall of Fame, so forget Super Bowls. Those nobody remembers those, but everybody remembers Halls of Fame.
That is some very, very heavy jewelry there. I like it.
No doubt.
My wife thinks my wife is less impressed when I want to wear this out for date night.
Really? I thought that would be like chick magnet stuff, right? Like look at my guy and that stupid ring he's got on.
I was going to say, I don't know how long you've been married. I've been married nearly over almost 20 years. They're not that impressed anymore.
Yeah, well, 27 for me, and I agree, not that impressed anymore. This is Chris Young. You can find him a couple different places at Chris Young Cooks over on YouTube, which you need to be subscribing to so you can see the content that we're talking about here on the show, but also all the products that you can buy, combustion Inc. is the website to go there. Next time we're talking sous speed, if you don't mind.
Yep.
All right. Chris, always appreciate the time.
Great. Have a good evening, Greg.
Take care.
Bye.
Chris Young right there. Yes, I know the camera froze. Everybody knows. Don't send me an email. I saw it. It's fine. He sounded great, which is how 99% of you take in the show anyway. It's not visually, it's audibly. So don't worry. And don't send me emails. I don't want to hear about it. I mean, Chris Young is as smart as they come. He knew right up front my YouTube poll question of the week question was an IQ test, not a traditional poll question of the week. A lot of great products, too. Very excited. I'm going to get one of those giant grill gauges, I can tell you that. Undo the one that's on the Primo and put on the Combustion Ink. Very excited. Hey, if you're serious about your grilling game, then you need to check out the latest offerings from Pits and Spits, the griddle and the built-in pellet grill. Let's kick things off with the Pits and Spits griddle. Gas top griddle combines the power of traditional grill with the versatility of the flat top griddle. Engineered with precision and crafted from top quality products, the versatile griddle is set to revolutionize your outdoor cooking experience. Constructed of 304 marine grade stainless steel, fully welded design, the griddle comes with 4 burners to accurately manage your heat zone and gets to a blistering hot with 80,000 BTUs. Made with the Pits and Spits signature quality, this griddle is designed to last for generations. Now, for those of you building your outdoor kitchen, you have to check out the built-in pellet grill designed for the discerning grill master who demands top-tier performance. This grill is the centerpiece of any serious outdoor kitchen. From low and slow smoking to high heat searing, this grill can handle it all. Briskets, ribs, pizzas, veggies, you name it, this grill can cook it. And with the Pits and Spits legendary craftsmanship, you can be confident it's built to last, also for generations. With stainless steel construction and a design that's reliable as it is versatile. So, are you ready to take your grilling game to the next level? Head on over to pitsandspits.com/BBQ Central. That's Pits and Spits, all spelled out, and the double T on the Pits and Spits.com/BBQ Central. Use promo code BBQ Central for a free spice pack with orders of $500 or more. And you're sure to achieve that with either the purchase of the built-in pellet grill or the standalone grill/griddle top. Code BBQ Central at the website pitsandspits.com/BBQ Central. We're back with Robert Moss right after this. Stick around, be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
And we thank Chris Young for joining us last segment. This portion of the show being brought to you by Fireboard, makers of the Fireboard 2, Fireboard Pro, Fireboard Spark, Fireboard Beacon, and of course the new Fireboard Pulse. When you use a Fireboard app, you have total access to all devices anywhere in the whole wide world. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call with questions 816-945-2232. My next guest is the contributing barbecue editor for Southern Living Magazine, a 2023 Barbecue Central Show's guest Hall of Famer. We welcome back our pal Robert Moss to the show. Robert, of course, we are starting with a YouTube poll question of the week that is loaded, so keep that in mind. Is it a shame?
All right, hit me.
Is it a shame that Doug Scheiding, Texas embedded correspondent, has met Sam the Cooking Guy in person now twice, and I haven't? Yes or no?
Yes, it's a crying shame, I would say.
I would say a crying shame is well executed. 69% of the YouTube voting public, also now 71% of the YouTube voting public saying that yes, indeed, it is a crime. All right, Robert. So we have Thanksgiving coming up here in a couple weeks. I just talked to Chris Young from Combustion Inc., who may be the new meathead for all the stuff that he's researching and debunking and sciencing up over at his YouTube channel. He just told me, forget the nonsense, cook that turkey from frozen all the way through. It's a lot quicker than you think it is, way quicker than just sticking it in your fridge and thawing it for days on end. If you're doing it from frozen, he did an 18-pound turkey from frozen in 5 or 5.5 hours. Have you ever done that?
Never with a fully frozen turkey. I will say that it sort of resonates with my experience, which is for a long time I thought you're supposed to thaw everything completely before you start cooking it. And just some basic things like making chicken stock or something with frozen, chicken carcasses or something. Lately, I've just been throwing the pot frozen and starting it off. And I do like to start the pot, cold and sort of bring it up. But I think his idea of, totally makes sense to me if you put it in the oven at 250 or whatever. I can't think of a reason why that would be a bad thing. So if I ever have a chance to try it, I'm not going to go buy a frozen turkey just to give it a shot. But it certainly makes sense that that's how to do it, especially since getting that turkey thawed is one of the biggest pains about Thanksgiving, because it always takes several days longer than you think it should take to thaw it in the fridge.
I've never cooked an 18-pound turkey. I'm usually 12-pound turkey guy, and if we have a lot of people coming over, I'll buy multiple 12-pound turkeys just because of how they cook. So if he's doing 18 pounds in 5 hours, that 12-pound turkey isn't probably going to take nearly as long as that. So it appears I have a new method to try out in 2 weeks, and then, hey, I'm throwing caution to the wind. If it sucks, which I can't believe Chris Young is going to steer me wrong, I'm going to look like a dynamo in 2 weeks, and it could be the new Thanksgiving standard from here on out, and all the stuff that you've ever heard about, we're tossing out the window.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, you can just pull that frozen turkey out in the morning when you first get up, throw it in the oven and be ready. Don't mess with all that thawing and soaking and brining and all the stuff that everybody spends days on in advance.
Let's talk about Southern Thanksgiving. Is there such a thing? And as I had mentioned in the show open, we've talked a lot over the course of the year, which has been tremendous, on a lot of Southern stuff, Southern barbecue and cooks and legends and pitmasters and evolutions of stuff. So I'm wondering if there isn't a story or 2 or 10 about Southern Thanksgiving.
Yeah, for sure. Though it may not go the same direction you may think, because there is a few Southern barbecue traditions, but they're not very old. There's not a traditional, classic 19th century Southern Thanksgiving. For the simple reason that Southerners did not celebrate Thanksgiving really until almost the 20th century. And so you think about, all the Thanksgiving food traditions and everything else, that's all pretty recent. Of course, growing up, we celebrated Thanksgiving, like everyone else. But Thanksgiving was really a New England holiday up until after the Civil War. And in the South, Christmas was the big holiday, the big winter holiday. Now, lots of traditions around that in the colonial South and in the 19th century South. But by contrast, New Englanders did not celebrate Christmas. It was not a big holiday up until later in the Victorian era, 19th century, for several reasons. That the Puritans thought Christmas was this indulgent thing they got rid of, one of these festivals and holidays, whereas Thanksgiving comes out of very much a Puritan tradition. So the Puritans had a tradition of in the Puritan idea of stripping out all the trappings and everything and getting down just to the fundamental things, they had days of Thanksgiving and then days of humiliation and fasting, which sound like a real blast. But the idea
sounds like what it's going to be a couple of days after normal Thanksgiving. You're going to have days of eating, and then you're going to have humiliation.
That's right. Often we do it the same day,
as it's happening.
As it's going on,
right? But
that was really, there was a Christmas that was this heathenistic holiday. But there were days of Thanksgiving, but it wasn't a set day or anything like that. They were called periodically by a town or a village, as was a day of humiliation and fasting. Thanksgiving to give thanks for something good to happen, like a good harvest, or maybe you didn't get wiped out in the latest Native American raid, or days of humiliation and fasting if something went bad. As the colonial era went on, the colonial governors would begin to have an annual day of Thanksgiving, and so each colony the governor would declare each year a few weeks in advance, this coming whatever. It wasn't always the Thursday, whatever day we're going to have a big day of Thanksgiving. So it sort of transitioned from being a religious holiday that was sort of organized by the church to being more of a secular holiday that was celebrated by the state. But that was very much in just in the New England colonies, and after the Revolution, that continued well into the 19th century. The South really didn't have a Thanksgiving tradition. So you see a couple Thanksgiving days here and there declared, but by and large, it was not a thing until the 1840s, when it sort of started to get promoted. There was a woman named Sarah Josepha Hale, who was the editor of Godey's Lady Book. And in the 1840s, she took it on herself to take this New England tradition that she grew up with and make it a national tradition. And she began this letter writing campaign each fall to all the governors of all the states, trying to get them to declare a day of Thanksgiving on the last Thursday of each November. And some governors in the South did. And so they would declare a day of Thanksgiving. Wasn't quite as big as what we think of today. People would go to church mostly and then have a nice dinner afterwards. But then, as we got close to the Civil War, sectionalist tension over slavery and the impending Civil War, the Southern governors suddenly didn't look so kindly on it. In fact, one governor from Virginia declared that he was not going to put up with the claptrap of this Yankee holiday. It was viewed as an abolitionist holiday, and the Southerners weren't going to have anything to do with it. At least the white Southerners were having nothing to do with it. So Thanksgiving really wasn't a thing in the South until well after the Civil War, after Reconstruction, when, again, a lot of the magazines and everything up in New England and in the North started really advocating it. And when Southerners began embracing the traditions, they began embracing the New England tradition. There wasn't a Southern tradition to follow. So they were reading all the articles in the magazines, how to stage a Thanksgiving dinner. So they cooked turkey. They had cranberries. Of course, cranberries don't grow in the South, so you couldn't go down to the market and get them. You have to import cranberries from up north. So all of the things we think of as Thanksgiving today, there really is no Southern analog of that. Christmas was a big celebratory thing. There were barbecues at Christmas. There was a big feast at Christmas, but Thanksgiving was not a thing at all until almost the turn of the 20th century.
Don't you just need water to grow cranberries? Isn't that how they're grown, on a water top?
We have lots of water and swamps down where I am, but cranberries do not grow down here. It's probably the temperature. Oh,
so it needs to be colder to have them?
I would guess so. Being from the South, I know almost nothing about the cultivation of cranberries.
Yeah.
So
me neither. I see commercials. They're laying on the top of a water. So I just figure if you got water somewhere, you could probably grow cranberries. But I don't even eat cranberries. I eat that jelly that comes out of the can, so it actually has the moldy. I mean, there's nothing better than cutting a puck of that off and then eating it. I just eat it straight. It's delicious.
Have you ever tried to make cranberry salsa with whole cranberries?
Nonsense.
I just made some the other day. It's the easiest thing in the world. You dump in a pot, you throw in some sugar and water, boil it for 10 minutes, and it's so good. It's almost no trouble at all to make.
So good in a tart sweet sense, or what's the?
Well, you've got to put sugar in it, but yeah, you got to put enough sugar in there because cranberries by themselves are very tart. You don't want to just munch on raw cranberries. But there's something about the tartness, and you get the sugar balance just right. I like to put in a little orange zest and maybe throw a few other things in there and give it a lot of flavor. But it's really simple, and I'd encourage everybody to try it. You can just buy the bag of cranberries at the store. There's a recipe in the back. Just follow that recipe, and you'll be golden.
I just want to rewind back to the olden days here as we were talking about Thanksgiving. I'm now captivated with days of humiliation. So was that put out where here's the Thanksgiving Day, and then was it called, and now we have these days of humiliation, or was it just known we were going to be humiliated?
I'd have to go back, but I think that's what it was called, the Day of Humiliation and Fasting. And I think they're very similar, the holidays. The Thanksgiving, you would get up and you would go to church for like the entire morning, if not longer, and
Sounds like a blast.
Sit in church. And then you would go back and then you would have a meal that had been cooked before and was cold because you've been at church the whole time. So then you would come home from church and eat. I think on the days of humiliation and fasting, almost the same, except the sermons would be very much about how bad you were, and then you would go home and not eat anything at all. So that was the two holidays.
I think I got a T-shirt coming up, which is going to be Day of Humiliation and Fasting, and you wear it Friday. I mean, I can't get over it.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Well, I'll cut you in on the profits when we get that business up and running. Any other Southern Thanksgiving items that we would need to know about? Like, I'm thinking maybe this is where deep frying turkey actually showed up for the first time.
Yes, and so I say this was not a 19th century tradition. This is a more recent tradition, but it has become a Southern tradition. In fact, in my own family, Thanksgiving's always been the big gathering where the entire extended family gets together for a huge Thanksgiving feast. Christmas we tend to do in smaller, smaller subunits of the family, maybe the grandparents and the parents and the kids. But this is, we usually have these giant, 30, 40 person gatherings with all the aunts and cousins and everybody. Originally, we roasted the turkey in the oven, but at some point, we went to both smoking turkeys on the grill or grilling turkeys, but also deep frying turkeys. And this is probably in the early 2000s. And so that sort of became part of our tradition. But the deep frying turkey is an interesting Southern tradition or specialty. It dates back to really the 1970s, 1980s, and down in Cajun country. So it's the Louisiana, you probably doesn't surprise you that came out of Louisiana. Around the 1970s, there started being marketed in Louisiana these what they called crawfish cookers. And so they're the big frame with a pot and the butane or propane burner underneath it. You put the big pot on it, fill it with water, and you do your crawfish boil. So rather than doing them over a wood fire or however they used to do it, they'd have these propane cookers. Well, somewhere around 1980, some good old boys down in Louisiana discovered you could take that big pot and fill it with oil instead of water. And then you could fry fish in it, or you could fry chicken in it, and it was a great thing for a fish fry or making fried chicken. That naturally led at the holiday season to, hey, maybe we could do a whole turkey in it. And if you've ever done one, a whole turkey sort of fits just about right down into that oil.
Yep.
And they came up with all these like harnesses and contraptions to lower the turkey in and everything else. So somewhere down in Southwest Louisiana, they started doing that. And a United Press reporter came across it at some point, wrote an article about it. The next year, there was the big National Convention of Newspaper Editors was in New Orleans that year. And so all these editors from across the country came down. And the hotel where the conference was, their chef, who was actually originally from out in Southwest Louisiana, decided he was going to deep fry some turkeys for all the newspaper editors who just went crazy about it. So that year, you can just see, this is in October, newspapers across the country are writing about this new Louisiana thing, the deep fried turkey, and it sort of took off from there. It began spreading outside Louisiana through the South, and then now you can buy a turkey fryers everywhere, and people come up with the oil-free, infrared turkey fryers to try to let you do it without burning up your garage and everything else. But part of the from the earliest days, because you're sticking that bird down in hot oil, it's not going to cook terribly evenly. It's not at 250 degrees. It's going to cook fast. So they're injecting it with all kinds of liquefied butter and spices and garlic and all that kind of stuff. So that has been a part of the Southern Thanksgiving tradition, at least since the 1980s. And now it's increasingly becoming a national tradition, along with burning down your garage from, blowing up the deep fried turkey.
What's your preference, deep fried, smoked, or traditional oven roast?
Roasted on the grill. So smoked, or really what I call wood roasting, which is do it at a higher temperature. Don't do it at 225. I don't want the offset. I'm not crazy about offset pit cooks turkey, but if you do it on a grill, nice and hot, the same way you would in your oven, I think that's my favorite way to do it, because it's juicy. It gets a little smoke flavor to it. It's skin gets good and crisp. I've never tried it with a frozen turkey, but maybe that's coming next.
That's right. Maybe give it a shot in a couple of weeks. We'll see what happens. It's Robert Moss. He's got one more shot left here as we close 2024 out. Robert, always appreciate the time, and we'll see you in December.
All right. See you then, Greg.
Robert Moss right there. So he's set to have a great Thanksgiving with the extended family. So we'll look forward to his report back in December. And I agree. I think smoked bird or smoke roasted. I think that's a Steven Reichland term, smoke roasting. That's my favorite. Although, I believe we have frozen turkey that we're going to be trying this coming Thanksgiving. As I said to Robert Moss, Chris Young can't possibly steer me wrong, can he? I don't think so. What do we love about ceramic cookers? We love that they're fuel efficient. We love that they can achieve low and slow temperatures for traditional barbecue meats. We love that they can get rip-roaring hot for the high-temperature grilling of steaks and other thin cuts. But what's missing in the everyday ceramic cooker lineup? The real ability to do true two-zone cooking. Two-zone cooking is very important to both professional and backyard cooks. It's the best way to manage a fire and cook with confidence. However, getting a two-zone fire and a round ceramic cooker is not very realistic. Why? Because it's round. Enter Primo Grill in the game-changing oval design. The shape gives you the ability to execute that two-zone setup that you desire. It also gives you the other ceramic grill benefits as well that I mentioned at the top. Really, when you break it down, there's more than 60 different ways to cook on this thing, only limited by your culinary imagination. If you like accessories, they got them by the boatload. Don't worry about that. Here's the bottom line. Best ceramics in the biz, patented technology, true two-zone cooking capability, and multiple sizes of ovals. What else do you need? Find a dealer near you, only sold through dealers. PrimoGrill.com. That's PrimoGrill.com. And you can check out a dealer near you and then buy the oval that best fits your need. I recommend at least the XL. Nobody got mad for ever buying a little bigger. They always get mad buying a little smaller. We're back to wrap the first hour right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back, and we thank Robert Moss for joining us last segment. If you would like to find his website, you can do so over at robertfmoss.com. Don't forget the F, robertfmoss.com. Days of Humiliation and Fasting t-shirts. I do have a t-shirt update, by the way. 71% of you are saying that, yes, it is a shame that Doug Scheiding has met Sam the Cooking Guy in person twice, and I haven't. Voted question. I'm glad everybody caught on and is now voting in my favor. Or if you're not, you just believe that it is a travesty. Or shame. Whatever word you like. For everybody that voted no, you need days of humiliation. Days. Oh, where did it go? All right, I got that ready. Anyway, we are heading to the second hour. So as we wait, and before we get there, refresh your libations. Tell all your friends and neighbors the Barbecue Central show's on. Send them the link, and wherever you're watching right now, because if you're getting this show live, you're doing it on the Facebooks, the Twitter, or the YouTubers. So send them the link that you're watching on, and tell them to get ready for a great second hour. We got a new guest coming up, and we have, how many times has Amber been on the show? This could be the second time or the third time, but it's definitely not any more than that. I believe she somehow got shanghaied into this, where it was going to be a Noah appearance, and then now it's an Amber appearance. I'll take either. I'm just happy they're coming back on the show to talk. We're going to ask them all the nitty-gritty. Anyway, you're listening and watching the Barbecue Central show right here in the Barbecue Central Network. Stick around. We'll be right back.